Hi, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our devotion for today, November 11th, 2022, is from the book of Acts, chapter 28, verses 1 through 6. After we were brought safely through, we then learned that the island was called Malta. The native people showed us unusual kindness, for they kindled a fire and welcomed us all, because it had begun to rain and was cold. When Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and put them on the fire, a viper came out because of the heat and fastened on his hand. When the native people saw the creature hanging from his hand, they said to one another, "No doubt this man is a murderer. Though he had escaped from the sea, justice will not allow him to live." He, however, shook off the creature into the fire and suffered no harm. They were waiting for him to swell up or suddenly fall down dead. But when they had waited a long time and saw no misfortune come to him, they changed their minds and said that he was a god. Our devotion for today is from the last chapter of the book of Acts and focuses on Paul safely reaching the shores of Malta after the ship he was on struck the reef and began to break apart. The soldiers on the ship that were transporting Paul wanted to kill all the prisoners on the ship to keep them from escaping, but a centurion kept Paul safe. Then we reach today's passage, and we find a deadly viper was in the wood that Paul gathered to throw onto the fire. The viper latched itself onto Paul's hand with its fangs, and those on the shore who had helped rescue them were sure that it was a deadly snake and that Paul would die. They assumed that Paul was a murderer. Why do we humans always think the worst about people? They thought he was a murderer, and that even though he might have escaped the sea and death at the sea, justice was going to be carried out at the hands of this viper. So they watched him closely, believing, justice will still win. They began looking for signs of the venom's effect within him, signs that they were sure were going to come. But no signs came, no evidence that he had been bitten, even though they saw the snake with their own eyes hanging by its mouth on his hand. The fact that he showed no negative signs from the bite caused the locals to quit believing that he was a murderer, and instead they began to believe he was a god. And why do we do that? Why do we human beings go to such extremes in our thought process and our belief process? Oh, first, Paul's a murderer. Second, oh, he's a god. What happened to all the possibilities in between? What happened to all the possibilities of those that we meet, that we skip right over and go from one extreme to the next? Not on any facts, but on perceptions, feelings, things like that. But at this point, nothing happens to Paul, and he survives. Jesus has protected him. Jesus wants him in Rome to witness to the faith, and no shipwreck is going to take his life. No viper is going to take his life. Nothing is going to stop Jesus' plan from being fulfilled. Once it's put in motion, there is nothing in the universe that can stop it. When Jesus uses you as part of his mission, he stands by you. He offers his protection, and he carries you to the conclusion of your part of his mission. Trust in him to get you to where he wants you to be. Remember that. Go in peace. Serve the Lord.